What's up, y'all? It's Lyft Story Time again, and I did a video earlier on driver safety, and so this story is also going to relate to driver safety, kind of like my last story. This is kind of like could have been a bad situation, but I was able to avoid it. I was able to prevent a problem from happening, so let me tell you a little bit about it. Basically, and this is probably, I'm just guessing, like 6 to 9 months ago. It was a while back. But what happened is, I'm driving late on Friday or Saturday night into the next morning, and as I'm driving, I get a request on Lyft, and I show up at the address. It's a personal home, a residence. So I pick up the passenger, their name's in the app, and it's a young guy, probably about, I don't know, 21, 22 years old, African American, and like I said, it's about 4 o'clock in the morning. So the destination in the app is a place that I'm familiar with, and it's a business. It's not a house, it's a business address. So I'm thinking that's kind of weird, because that business closes at like 11 o'clock. It's 4 in the morning, and he has me taking him to that business. So I'm just thinking, like, maybe, you know, where he's going is near there. So, first red flag. The address and the time of day kind of don't mesh. No problem. Noted. Next thing is, we start to driving, and within probably 1 minute of the trip was like supposed to be 15 minutes. Within 1 minute of the trip, he pulls out a $20 bill and sets it on my center console as a tip. Second red flag. So I do get $20 bill tips. I've got tips up to $100, but nobody ever tips up front unless I'm picking them up at a Spurs game or something and they took a long time to come and they're just feeling happy and generous because the Spurs beat up on one of the other NBA teams. That's the only other time I've had it happen. So it's 4 in the morning, this dude tips me $20 up front and just like, here's your tip. So, second red flag. Third red flag is we're talking, and I'm telling him I'm from New York, you know, living in the Bronx, etc. And he's like, oh yeah, I was just living in Brooklyn for a few months. So I ask him where in Brooklyn, and he makes up an address that I know 1,000% isn't real. I know that because I know New York City. I know all the boroughs. I don't know every street in every borough. But it was very, very clear that he made up a area that doesn't exist and an address in a neighborhood on streets that don't exist in Brooklyn. Third red flag. So I keep driving. He's fidgeting in the back, like looking real hard at my cameras, like real hard at the cameras, and he asked me if my cameras are on. Fourth red flag. Keep driving, about halfway to the destination, and all of a sudden he gets a text or a phone call, and he tells me, hey, I need you to bring me back to the address where I picked him up, not to the destination. I'm like, what you mean? He's like, yeah, I need you to bring me back now. Mind you, we never even got to his first destination. So at this point, that's the fifth red flag. At this point, I'm thinking, is this dude about to try to carjack me? Because this is looking like a setup. All his behavior is wrong. It's not normal. It ain't right. It's not usual, and I know this because I've done hundreds at this point, or maybe thousands of trips. None of his behavior is normal rider behavior, normal passenger behavior. So I'm thinking, this dude might be thinking about carjacking me, or robbing me, or whatever. And if I go back to the same place where I picked him up, he might have people waiting there for me, so that when he gets out, they come and they bum rush the vehicle. I've seen this movie before. So I just straight up tell him. I turn around the vehicle. I'm like, dude, I'll take you back. You can keep your money, but I ain't taking you to the address where I picked you up. I already know how this goes, homie. Like, everything that you're doing is not normal. So I'm just letting you know up front, I'm not taking you to that address. I'll take you to the neighborhood, but I'm not taking you to that address. Because this ain't right. Like, something's off. Why were you even going to that first destination at this time? And he couldn't give me an answer. So he's like, no, you can keep the tip. So we get back to the general area where I picked him up, and I drop him off like 2 blocks away instead of at that house. And I don't tell him where I'm gonna drop him off. I just get him to the general area and drop him off. He gets out, he leaves the 20. I make like, I think because of Prime, I made like $14, $15, $16 off of the actual trip. So I think I made like $34, $35, $36 off the trip because I got the fare still, plus I got the $20 tip. But I end up really taking him nowhere, picking him up in this neighborhood at this house and bringing him back to the same neighborhood, different area, different street, different house. And he goes about his business 4:30 in the morning. So I say all that to say this. I don't know what he had planned. No idea what he had planned. But I know this. Too many red flags, brother. Too many red flags. He could have been white. He could have been black. He could have been yellow, red, green, purple. I don't care. That have nothing to do with it. What had everything to do with it is his behavior. Learn this. As a driver, you're going to see behavior patterns over and over and over again. Your typical riders, typical passengers, they're going to kind of repeat the same things over and over. They're going to ask the same kind of questions. They're going to have the same kind of conversations. They're going to have certain behaviors. Sometimes people will ask you about your camera, or they'll ask you about different things, or where you're from, or whatever. But in that scenario, it was just everything was off, and it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And he obviously didn't need to go where I was taking him. And who knows why he needed to go there in the first place, because that business was closed. It was a paint shop. So, end of the story is, nothing bad happened. And I made $34, $35, $36. But I let him know point blank, and I told him, like, everything's funny, everything's off, and I ain't with it. So we're gonna end this trip. I'm not taking you back to that address. This is how it's gonna go. I'm in charge. I'm in control of the situation. And basically, you know, I didn't come at him aggressive. I didn't come at him like disrespectful, but I came at him in a way to let him know, like, if you create a problem, you're not gonna be able to solve it, because I'm ready for it. The reason why I say that is because as a driver, you need to be able to spot potential problems before they occur. Again, I drive everybody. I drive all kinds of people. I drive people from every culture, every social economic background. I go to every neighborhood. I go to the projects. I go to the mansions. I go to like billionaire estates here in Texas, and I go to raggedy little tiny houses in the back of houses that you wouldn't think like someone actually lives on that street, because that's the garbage pickup street. That's not actually like a real street. I go everywhere. I don't have a problem with dropping people off everywhere, but I don't pick up everywhere, and I'm always paying attention to my passengers. Why? Because my safety is my first priority. I need to go to work, make money, and come home with that money without any problem, without any incidents, without any struggle, without any drama. The same thing goes for all of you as drivers. Street smarts go a long way, but maybe you don't have the same kind of experience that I have in the same kind of neighborhoods with the same kind of people that I have. Learn from this video. You don't have to go through bad situations and circumstances in order to figure out what's what. All you have to do is pay attention to what your passenger is doing and what your passenger is saying. And if stuff's not adding up, just let them know, hey, this trip's not really working for me. I'm not comfortable taking you where you're trying to go right now, so I'm just gonna stop and I'm gonna let you out right here. What are they gonna say? They can't say anything. It's your vehicle. So the other thing is, again, you should notice red flags, alarms that go off when people start doing things that are not normal, that are not appropriate, you know, or even, you know, when they start lying to you, like making up places in Brooklyn that don't exist, that I know don't exist because I've been there 1,000 times. So pay close attention to your passengers, especially at night, especially when it's 4 a.m. and, you know, when things are not going the way that they should be going, because there is an appropriate and a normal and a successful way to conduct a Lyft trip or an Uber trip or a rideshare trip. When stuff is sketchy, don't ignore it. I mean, don't always assume the worst of people either, but don't ignore it when stuff ain't adding up. You know, I share that story because I didn't have any incident. I didn't have any problem. By the grace of God, and probably because of my actions, I prevented whatever could have potentially happened. And maybe nothing would have happened. Who knows? I don't know. But I don't want to know, and I didn't want to find out, and that's why I ended it the way I ended it. So at the end of the day, I end up making decent money on that fare too. So all I'll say going forward is your safety is your responsibility. Like, Lyft executives are not coming out to protect you. You know, other drivers are not showing up to protect you. Your family, your friends, you can't take them with you on your ride. You're alone by yourself with people you never met before. It's your responsibility to make sure that you stay safe, happy, and healthy. That you make money and that you go home with that money, or, you know, wherever you're gonna go. It's not anybody else's responsibility. So take your safety seriously. Take your passenger safety seriously. Keep making money, and let's ride. Rideshare Daily, subscribe below. Also, if you want more training like this, I have a whole series of videos coming at the end of this month. Sign up below at the elliottpotter.net/free VT. That's free video training series. Link is below. You can sign up today. Peace. Y'all have a great day.